This is lecture 5.2, Agents of Socialization. In this lecture, we'll talk about some agents of socialization, as well as additional concepts that are closely related to this one. So first, agents of socialization. These are social groups, institutions, and individuals that provide structured situations where socialization occurs. Major agents of socialization can include family, schools, peers, and the mass media, but there are many, many different agents of socialization. We refer to family often as the primary agent of socialization because for most people, this is the group that taught us most of what we learned as small children to be largely functioning adults. Family is, as I stated, for most people, the most significant agent of socialization in all societies and teaches us the basic values and norms that shape our identity. Family is critical to the vast majority of humans. Even if you don't have a good relationship with your family, they still are the people that were with you at the very beginning. And because of that, regardless of whether you still really even associate with them anymore, they were the ones that shaped you in the very beginning. We refer to this as the primary socializing group, as I mentioned. Stereotypical gender roles are often part of many families. However, gay and lesbian families are more likely to challenge gender normative roles. So however you, as sociologists say, do gender, however you learn how to be a man or be a woman or be gender in some other way, you probably learned a lot of that in your family. Childhood experience linked to homicide, suicide, aggression, drug use, college graduation, unwanted pregnancy, all kinds of things. These are linked to what happened to us as children. So things like spanking and corporal punishment, physical punishment of children, these influence how we interact with humans for the rest of our lives. And it's a big deal. The typical family varies by ethnicity, class, and marital status. What is a typical Latino family can look different than a typical African American family, can look different from a typical Amish family, right? These are all like culturally slightly different. Working class and middle class families can be different. Working class families tend to submit to authority more, follow orders without question more, and emphasize obedience, while middle class families emphasize independent decision making, creativity, and critical thinking. These are, but for both working class and middle class families, those are the behaviors that treat them as adults when they are adults. It makes sense for a working class person to submit to authority. When they are adults, it makes sense for a middle class person to do creative decision making, right? Because that's what gets them ahead in their jobs. As a result, they teach their children to do that same thing. However, another idea are blended families, which are ones with unfamiliar norms, values, and behaviors of new members. So effectively what happens here is that a lot of the stress that can happen when people get divorced and then remarry is that they have to learn how they're going to re-put this family unit back together, right? And a lot of that stress can come from not knowing what the rules are, not knowing what the norms are, etc. Another agent of socialization are schools. One unique quality of schools are what are called the hidden curriculum, which are, and it's not as sinister as it actually sounds, but these are the unspoken classroom socialization roles, the values and roles and culture of education. In American schools, Traditionally, we have emphasized patriotism, competitiveness, conformity, respect for authority, and basic social skills. Those are the hidden curriculum. We also can re-emphasize gender roles and class status too, again, depending on the school that you went to. All of these things within the hidden curriculum are not, to take it back to previous in the course, these are not the manifest functions of the school, but these are the latent functions of the school. These are the side, what many people would see as side benefits of education. Peers are another agent of socialization, and peers are intriguing from a development standpoint because peers are very, very important to us when we are teens, but not as important to most people as they grow older. Most people through their life course, family is incredibly important, and then in our teens, peers become important, and then as we grow up, it shifts back to family being important. But peers provide very different social skills and often become more immediately significant than the family as children go through adolescence. One of the reasons for this is that peers teach us how to do stuff that like your mom and dad can't, right? Peers teach you how to find a sexual partner, how to use drugs and alcohol, right? How to do these things that it would be weird for your mom to teach you how to do these things. So peers are defined as people of your same age and social standing. You would typically spend more time with these people, and it becomes more influential than your family in teendom, as I mentioned. Peer groups tend to form unique sets of norms, unique vocabulary, give you a sense of media and fashion and role models. And peers do a form of anticipatory socialization. So this is the process of adopting behavior or standards of a group you emulate to try to join. So your peers, if you want to join a friend group, you behave in a way that you think those people might like, and you anticipate what they might like from a person. And this continues into adulthood as well, and you still do have peer groups as an adult, but it becomes, as I mentioned, less important than it is immediately to a teen and young adult. Media has become an important agent of socialization and often overrides family and other institutions in instilling values and norms. Media became important to the American landscape in the mid-1900s, and it has dramatically shifted over time. However, it is still a major socializing agent. Social media is a different thing than traditional one-way media is. Social media is more of an outlet for other agents of socialization. It's not quite an agent of socialization on its own, so don't conflate media and social media in this way. Mass communications, such as, so what's the point of media, right? Well, it allows for a medium of mass communication and intend to reach and influence a mass audience, right? So media communicates one uniform idea to millions and millions of people, is the point. And that's different than what, say, your dad telling you something is, right? It's a different phenomena. Television, movies, radio, newspapers, books, and magazines, these are all examples of media. And norms that they influence are things like violence, fashion, gender stereotypes. These are all things that the way we hold them are influenced by media. And those might be different than, say, what your parents would want you to think. And that's why media is important to who we are as Americans and as individuals. Another major agent of socialization that a lot of people don't really think of are organized sports. Organized sports are fundamental to the lives of U.S. children. By one estimate, 21.5 million children from the ages of 6 to 17 participate in at least one organized sport. Now, why do we do this? Why do we as adults think this is important? Well, we think that it builds character and hard work, and competitiveness, to perform, and ability to perform in stressful situations. So we think of those as the positive reasons why we would want kids to participate in organized sports. However, we should also be aware that it also can create negative attitudes. It can create bullying situations. And given the social climate of the area, organized sports can influence and perpetuate homophobia. Now, given that varies from situation to situation, sport to sport, region to region, but it is a problem in many elements of organized sports. Religion is another major agent of socialization. We don't often in the education system talk about religion, but I feel it's important for sociologists to talk about religion because it's part of who people are. Religion is a central part to many people's lives. It teaches fundamental life values and beliefs and contributes to shared normative culture. Religion gives us a sense of right and wrong, of how to conduct ourselves in society and how to organize our lives. And this is something all religions do. And you could even include atheism, that philosophy, in this definition of religion. It gives us rules about dress, hairstyles, even diet. It gives us rules for behavior and how we behave in society. Work is another agent of socialization, and this ties in with religion, this ties in with sports. All of these agents of socialization, just because it's listed here doesn't necessarily mean you have that involved in your life, right? Not everyone has all of the agents of socialization. But work for most U.S. adults who are post-adolescent, socialization begins with entry into the workforce. So your first job is a very big first step into effectively being an adult. Expectations at work can differ from those experienced in family and among peer groups. I certainly have experienced that. And even, quote, occupation outside the bounds of legality are governed by rules and roles learned through socialization. So you can study things like drug dealing or sex work, where it is illegal, as work, because it operates as the agent of work. And those, quote, jobs, those behave in a very similar way to actual work. And that's something that sociologists find very interesting. Now let's talk about a couple additional concepts. Socialization and aging. Most theories of socialization focus on infancy, childhood, and adolescence, but we don't stop socializing just because we become adults. We work, we have relationships, we interact in the media, and we continue with anticipatory socialization. As people near retirement and grow old, we learn to behave as elderly people, right? So obviously when we're younger, we do anticipatory socialization, thinking about going into college, or maybe if you would get married, you think about getting married, or if you think about having children. We anticipate what it would be like to do those things. But that also applies to moving into old age. Resocialization is also something that may occur to you in your life. This is the process of replacing previously learned norms and values with new ones as part of a life transition. A dramatic form of resocialization takes place in the form of a total institution, which is an institution such as a prison, a cult, or a mental hospital that cuts individuals off from the rest of society so that their lives can be controlled and regulated. The point of a total institution is to cut you off and to control you entirely. Two examples of total institutions. During military boot camp, this is a total institution. They try to turn you into something that the military can use effectively. Another example of a total institution are cults. This cult was called the Moonies. What they would do is they would mass marry people, and a lot of those people get in this mass marriage ceremony just met each other, which is a dramatic form of resocialization. In the modern era, sociologists are very interested in interactions that occur in copresence because definitions of copresence have changed. Traditionally, we think of copresence of when people are in each other's physical presence. But thanks to modern technology, we can be in the co-presence of people even if they are very far away. So I'm able to teach for a university based in New Mexico due to co-presence, even though I live in central Ohio. Postmodern theorists claim that one of the role of technology in human social interaction is one of the primary features of our lives. So we have exposure to so many ideas that were not possible for our parents' or grandparents' generations. That is what makes your life different than the lives of those who had gone before you. And we're now exposed to so many more sources to develop our sense of self. And that way, new technology can actually be good for kids. There are a lot of reasons why technology could be potentially harmful for people, and other people emphasize that. I like to think of it, or at least bring up, that you can be so many more things, right? You can expand your definitions and learn about so many more things about the world now than you could have 50 years ago. And that gives you more possibilities to be different people effectively. And I think that's really very interesting. And I think that's really good for kids. So that is the end of this lecture. If you have any questions, please just let me know.